The casting room was so quiet you could hear the air conditioner hum. But then, one of the producers let out a stifled laugh. Another shook his head, pretending to cough so no one would see his smirk. Zendaya stood in front of them, heart pounding, gripping the script pages so hard her fingers turned white. She had just finished her audition, passionate, raw, different, and the room didn't clap. They didn't even smile. One of them muttered, "That's cute," like he was talking about a toddler trying to sing opera. They laughed at Zendaya's audition, not knowing she was about to become the lead in a billion-dollar franchise. Not knowing that 2 years from that exact moment, her face would be on billboards in Times Square, in Tokyo, in Paris, and that the same people who mocked her would be begging for a meeting. But the question is, how did it happen? And more importantly, why was that audition even taped and who leaked it? Let's rewind. Before the billion-dollar fame, before the red carpets and global premieres, there was just Zendaya, a girl with big dreams, a soft voice, and a talent that was too loud to ignore, unless you didn't want to see it. She was 18 then, just wrapped up her time with Disney, where most people knew her from Shake It Up or KC Undercover. To millions of kids, she was a star. But to the grown-ups in Hollywood, she was the Disney girl. That label stuck to her like gum on a shoe, and no matter how many acting classes she took or how many late-night auditions she went for, it followed her into every room. This one was no different. The role was for a sci-fi film. Huge budget, huge studio. Zendaya had heard whispers it could launch someone's career to the next level. That's why every big agent in town had their best clients lined up to read. Actresses with awards already under their belt, with famous parents, with red carpet history. Zendaya didn't have any of that. What she had was a script, a dream, and a burning belief that she could bring something different to the role. She spent 3 straight days preparing. Reading the script till sunrise, rehearsing with her acting coach until her voice cracked, reworking her backstory for the character so deeply that she started dreaming as if she was her. The audition came. She walked into the sleek glass office in downtown LA. Everything smelled like fake lemon and fear. The assistant barely looked up from her desk. Zendaya's name wasn't even on the schedule at first. They had forgotten to add her. "Who are you reading for again?" the assistant asked. Zendaya swallowed the lump in her throat. "Lead, Tara." The assistant blinked, trying not to laugh. "Okay, cool." When she finally stepped into the room, the director didn't look up. The producer was checking his phone. A third guy, someone she didn't recognize, was halfway through a croissant. Zendaya cleared her throat and began. And even though they barely looked at her, she gave it everything. She threw herself into the moment, let her voice crack in pain, let her body tremble in fear, stood still in the silence like the world was ending, and she was the last one left to fight. When she finished, her chest was rising and falling like she'd just run a race. She looked at them, waiting, hoping. That's when it happened. The chuckle, the eye roll, the "that's cute." They didn't get it. Zendaya left that building humiliated. Her agent called her that evening and said, "Don't be upset. They said you weren't what they were looking for, too gentle, too polished." Polished, Zendaya had cried in that scene. She had screamed in silence. She had given more than half the girls who were actually shortlisted. That night, she told her mom, "I think I'm done. Maybe I'm just not meant for those kinds of yishor solis." But here's the twist. Someone had taped that audition, and someone else, someone Zendaya had no idea even existed, saw it. 3 weeks later, she got a call from a number she didn't recognize. "Hey, is this Zendaya? I saw your tape for Tarai. Look, you don't know me, but you crushed it. I want to talk to you about a different project." Zendaya paused. "Who is this?" The voice said, "Let's just say, I think they made a huge mistake." Zendaya thought it was a prank at first, until she realized who the caller was and what they were offering. But just before she could ask more, the call dropped, and that's when everything changed. Zendaya stared at the screen. Call ended. No name, no text, just a missed call from a number she didn't recognize and a feeling in her chest she couldn't shake. Was it real? Was it another fake-out like the time a blogger claimed she'd been cast in a Marvel movie when she hadn't even auditioned? She waited. 10 minutes passed. Nothing. Then, Buzz. A new message popped up. Meet me tomorrow. 3 p.m. 8484 Wilshire. Don't tell anyone. D. No other explanation. She showed the message to her mom, who narrowed her eyes. You're not going alone. The next day, Zendaya and her mom pulled up to a nondescript office building. It didn't look like a movie studio. It looked like a dentist's office. Boring white walls, sun-faded sign, no valet, no glam. But when they went inside, the air shifted. The lobby was quiet. Too quiet. And then a woman in a sleek black suit walked out and said, Zendaya? She nodded. Follow me. They were taken down a hallway and into a private screening room. No windows, just a single row of velvet chairs and a screen the size of a bus. The woman gestured. Sit. He'll be here in a moment. Zendaya's mom whispered. Do we even know who he is? Zendaya shook her head, nerves prickling through her spine. Then the door opened, and in walked Daniel Roberts, the same Daniel Roberts who had produced the Orbit Protocol, Black Box, and Code Zero, three of the biggest sci-fi blockbusters of the past decade. Zendaya's jaw dropped. Sorry to be dramatic, Daniel said, smiling as he dropped into the chair next to her. But I didn't want anyone stealing you before I could. Me? She asked, barely believing her ears. Daniel leaned forward. I saw your audition. Someone leaked the raw tape to me. I wasn't even supposed to get it, but I did. And I watched it 5 times. You have something they couldn't see. She blinked, but they laughed. Because they don't understand power when it's quiet. Daniel explained that he was developing a new sci-fi saga. One that would span 3 films, include AI-driven worlds, ethical dilemmas, and a female lead who wasn't a cliché. He'd been stuck until he saw her tape. I don't want you to audition again. I want to build this around you. Zendaya and her mom exchanged glances. I'm serious, he continued. The studio's hesitant because you're not a bankable action lead, whatever that means. But if I bring them a proof of concept with you in it, just 5 minutes of footage, we can change that. Zendaya whispered, like a test reel? He nodded. Exactly. You in the role, your style, your voice, the way you would play her. We shoot it next month. You game? Her heart was doing cartwheels. Yes, she said without hesitation. Over the next few weeks, Zendaya trained harder than ever. Not just in acting, she worked with stunt coordinators, learned how to fight on wires, even trained with a retired NASA engineer to understand the physics of space travel. Every second was brutal, but every bruise felt worth it. Daniel brought in a small team, just 5 people, to shoot the proof of concept. They built a tiny set in an abandoned airplane hangar and turned it into a space command center. Zendaya shot 3 scenes, including one where she had to deliver a 10-minute monologue while a simulated crash played out behind her. She did it in 1 take. When they finished filming, the room was dead silent. Daniel wiped his eyes. A week later, he walked the tape into a boardroom full of suits, studio execs, marketing heads, and people who still thought Zendaya was just the girl from Disney. He played the footage. 5 minutes and 16 seconds. By the end, 3 people had tears in their eyes. One guy muttered, "How the hell did we miss her?" They greenlit the trilogy that day. But things didn't go smooth from there. In fact, a storm was waiting just around the corner. As Zendaya celebrated the deal in her apartment with her mom, her phone buzzed again. Same number. A new message. They're not going to let you win. Be ready. That's when someone hacked the footage. The one that started it all. Her audition tape. And uploaded it. For the world to see, it hit the internet like wildfire. The leaked audition tape, the one Zendaya thought was buried, was now front and center on every entertainment blog, YouTube channel, and trending hashtag. The title on the first viral post read, Zendaya bombs audition, Hollywood insiders react. And just like that, the laughs came back. Clips from the tape were ripped apart. TikTokers used her lines as memes. One reaction video even added a laugh track over her most intense scene. Is this real acting? She's not ready for sci-fi. Stick to Disney. Zendaya sat on her bed staring at the comments. Her chest felt tight. After all that training, all that effort, this was what people were seeing? Daniel called her the next morning. This isn't what we wanted, but it might just work in our favor. How? Because now we get to show them what you really are. The studio was nervous. Marketing teams were panicking. But Daniel didn't care. He pushed forward with the announcement. Zendaya would be leading Astropulse, a 3-part billion-dollar sci-fi franchise. Now the media had its favorite word, controversial. Talk shows debated it, journalists dug up every past project she'd ever done, twisting even her charity work into clickbait. People said she was too delicate, too inexperienced, too clean for the grit of a space war epic. Zendaya didn't respond. She trained, and when production began 6 months later, the rumors turned into rumors about the set. How Zendaya refused a stunt double, how she rewrote parts of her own dialogue, how the director called her relentless. But the world was still laughing, waiting for her to fail. Until one night, the trailer dropped. No warning, no teasers, just a quiet upload to the studio's YouTube channel. The opening scene, Zendaya, eyes filled with grief, walking through a burning ship, blood on her uniform, breathing like she'd just survived hell. A line appeared on screen. "They left me to die. Now I'm coming back for all of them." Then the logo, Astropulse, and then silence. People didn't laugh this time. They stared. They rewatched. They shared. A former critic tweeted, "I owe Zendaya an apology. She's not just playing the part, she is the part." The video hit 12 million views in 24 hours. By the time Astropulse premiered 8 months later, Zendaya had become the face of every poster, every subway ad, every bus stop in America. The movie shattered box office records, pulling in $1.3 billion globally in its first 4 weeks. The same executives who laughed at her, now flying to Italy just to attend her red carpet. But here's the part no one ever knew. Behind the scenes, Zendaya had a secret partner. Someone who helped train her. Someone who pushed her to ignore the noise and lean into the pain. Someone who watched her audition and didn't laugh. It was her co-star in the film. Someone originally cast in a supporting role. Someone the studio barely cared about. Someone Zendaya personally vouched for when they were about to get cut from the cast entirely. Because Zendaya remembered what it felt like to be overlooked, and she wasn't going to let it happen to someone else. But here's the kicker. That co-star, he wasn't just any actor. He was the one who leaked her audition, on purpose, to expose how cruel the industry could be, and to force the world to see what they had missed. And now, they were both the biggest names in Hollywood,